All right, first finals video that I've done in a while, and starting this one off with a surprise. I thought it'd be funny, now that we're, I think, 3 weeks left to go in this season, I thought it'd be funny if I did my ranked terminal attack placements, because I literally have not played ranked or unranked terminal attack at all throughout the entire season. And I just recently finished the Emerald grind, and I got my challenges done for the circuits or whatever really quickly, actually. That didn't take very long. I thought it was going to take a while, but got it done pretty quickly. And I was like, well, I don't really have anything to do as far as like the finals goes for the last like 3 weeks, but I still kind of wanted to play a little bit. And I just thought it'd be funny. I was like, well, you know, I wasn't going to play this, and I literally hadn't played this at all for the whole season, so I was like, you know what, I'll do the placements. I don't think I'll be going for Ruby this late, even though the skin is cool. But yeah, it's one of those things where like these low-level placement games is probably kind of like fun to mess around with, and that's why I'll play those. But once it gets to actual like high-ranked and people, you know, going really hard trying to get Ruby and probably be like squatted up and stuff, I bet it's going to be like really annoying, and it's a little too late in the season for that. But I thought I'd play the placement games at least, and I was kind of just curious where I'd get placed. I've only done 2 so far. This is literally the first one for the gameplay. So yeah, that's what you're watching in the background. And as far as like my thoughts go on that, because I only played the 2, I don't really have many, to be honest. I would say first and foremost, ranked cash out is definitely way better than this. Admittedly, playing the placement games this late in the season, and you know, taking advantage of the matchmaking a little bit that way, not intentionally. I wasn't gonna play this at all. It was kind of fun. So you know, I gotta admit that was kind of fun. But like I said, like once you get into actual like high level games and then like people squatted up and stuff, I think this mode would be really frustrating to play. And I still think that ranked cash out's the way to go. Oh, the other thing too, if it was best of 7, I think it'd actually be like pretty tolerable. But the best of 13 and ranked, I get why they raised the rank, the round count for ranked. Like I get it, but these games are just so long. They're just so long, and it's just a little too long in my opinion. And yeah, if they would have kept it best of 7, I think it would be a much more enjoyable experience. But yeah, that was my initial impression. As we got through like half of this game, and I was like, dude, why is this game still going on? Like, what? Like we win. Spoiler alert: we win like 4 rounds in a row or so. I think it's more than that. And I'm just like, why is this game still going? Like, it should have been best of 7. But anyways, enough on terminal attack. There you go. 3 minutes. That was my whole ranked TA. That was the whole thing. That was the big thing this season. There you go. 3 minutes. That was my whole ranked TA takes. I know, big stuff. Big stuff. What I really want to talk about in this one is we have season 4 coming up soon, and I don't want to talk about, you know, how season 3 was kind of an L too much, because I think everybody that plays this game regularly kind of agrees with that and is kind of like on the same page with that and the different things that were frustrating about how this season was handled. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, we all know that stuff. I don't want to talk about it too much. Because I feel like everybody that plays this game consistently still is like kind of on the same page there. So there's just not really much point in talking about it. I'd rather talk about season 4 and, you know, what's coming in the future and what I'd like to see there. And then on that, I'd also want to say, like, I'm not gonna say too much on like, you know, gadgets that I'd like to see, or like weapons, or the map and stuff like that. I don't like setting expectations for that stuff. I'd rather just see what they cook up. Like, we know there's gonna be stuff coming. We know there's going to be a new map. We know there'll be like some gadgets to play with, maybe like a specialization, weapons, stuff like that. So I don't like setting expectations for that stuff. We'll just see what they cook up and then, you know, go from there. Although, one note on that, I guess this can start off the things I want to see in season 4. Technically, I do want to see that stuff be usable, because aside from a few exceptions, for the most part, like the weapons and gadgets and stuff that they've added in the new seasons so far have been kind of underwhelming and haven't really been utilized that much, even still. For example, like Season 2, you have the burst pistol, I still never see that thing. I genuinely cannot tell you the last time that I saw someone use it. The FAMAS has finally started to enter the fray a little bit. Like, I'll see the FAMAS every once in a while. Some people will use that. And the KS-23, very rare. But again, sometimes I'll see people use it. The burst pistol, literally, never see it. As far as like the specs go, yeah, the claw is like pretty popular now. DMAT, a decent amount of mediums will use DMAT, so there is that. But again, like for the most part, like a lot of that stuff just isn't used. And then like for the Season 3 stuff, you have the dual blades for medium. Nobody uses those anymore. That's like super rare. Occasionally, you'll see the spear for heavy, but most heavies just elect for the sledge, so that's like super rare. The bow is the most popular, but even then, I think most lights go for something different. And yeah, I just want to see like the weapons that get added. I want to see the gadgets and stuff like that. I want to see that stuff actually like be usable and take a place in the meta right away. And I think maybe they've been like super careful to not do what most games do and just make that stuff like too powerful from the get-go. But I'd rather that stuff be too strong for like a week and then get toned back than it just like never be played at all, like how a lot of the stuff has been that they've added. So yeah, I would rather them start off overtuned too strong for a week, because again, a lot of people are going to want to use that stuff anyways, and then tune it back and try to get it in line. Like I would rather see that, because I want the new stuff to actually have a place in the game. So yeah, that's something I'd like to see. I'd like to see the new stuff added be a little bit stronger and actually like have a place. Okay, so now getting into more specifics. I'm actually going to pull my game up in the background too, because I want to specifically go through some things. I'm gonna look at light first. So when it comes to light, I think you could start with deleting them from the game. I'm kidding. With light, I think that light's actually in a better place now. There are a few things they could tweak, like for example, the health regen. I do like that they made the health regen quicker. I think maybe they went a little too far. Like off the top of my head, I want to say light's health regen is like 7.5 seconds, but mediums is 9 and heavies is 10. I feel like it'd make a lot more sense to just have it be 8, 9, 10, and that'd probably feel a little bit better too. Because a lot of situations while fighting lights this season, I feel like that health regen, it's nice that it's quicker. I think it's a little too quick, and I think just dialing it back that little small amount would be like perfect. I don't think you'd have to do anything else. I think that'd be a perfect adjustment. You could probably just leave it there. I'd like to see the burst pistol buffed. I think the LH1's in a pretty good spot now. It was super powerful before. And honestly, I think a lot of the light weapons, I don't have too much to say, because I think a lot of them are in a pretty good spot now. Aside from, again, the main one is the burst pistol needs a buff still. I still think the burst pistol is just kind of like useless. But other than that, I think most of the light kit is actually in a pretty good spot, and they shouldn't do too much to it. I think it's in the best spot that it's been relative to the other classes, even if I'd still make a few adjustments. Going over to medium. Okay, so the model, I think, deserves a nerf. I was wrong with my tier list. Even though the model is a harder gun to use, it's so good it should be S tier. The model's insane. Like, the model should be S, the AK should be A. I think the model definitely deserves a nerf. I think the AK could probably stay where it's at. The FCAR, I would honestly like to see them revert the big change that they made to it in Season 2. I would like to see them revert that. I don't think that's going to happen. But I'd like to see them revert that and instead start adjusting like the rate of fire on it, and go for that route of balancing it. Because the new FCAR just feels way too similar to the AK, but without having the ammo that the AK has. And I just don't like it. I just feel like it doesn't have a place. Like, I just don't see why I would use it over the AK or the FAMAS. Like, it's just too similar to the AK without having that ammo advantage that the AK has. And yeah, it's just weird. Like, they need to revert it, and they need to take a different approach with that. One of my biggest problems with the season is mines. Mines are so overused, and specifically the glitch traps in particular. I would definitely like to see some adjustments there. Because these things are just like way overused in Season 3, and they're really frustrating, and I just don't think what they added the gameplay is like very fun. Like I don't think the glitch traps just being like dropped and damn near immediately activated and then you just aren't able to use anything. Like I don't think that's very fun. That's a place they could start. I think the activation time of mines, because they should be a defensive tool. I think, you know, pushing that back a little bit would be a good place to start. But there's probably a few things they could do. But yeah, the mines are just like way too prevalent, and I don't love mine spam as a thing because it like disencourages you from, you know, making plays and moving around the map, and I just think that's a bad thing. And yeah, I just don't really like where mines are at this state in the game, so I'd like to see some adjustments there. As far as like heavy goes, with heavy, I think that a lot of stuff is in a pretty decent spot. The M60 needs a big buff. I think the spear could use a slight buff. I think the Lewis gun could also use a slight buff. Hell, you could honestly maybe adjust the KS-23 a little bit as well. I think heavy's like really close to being in a pretty good spot, but yeah, there's a few things that are just a bit off. They could honestly probably still adjust the RPG a little bit too. I think the RPG is still a little bit overboard. And honestly, the last dome shield nerf, I think they could probably revert that. I think they could probably revert that or find like a compromise with that. I think that one was a little unnecessary. I think it was a little unnecessary. The last thing I'd say, so that goes over all the class and like weapon stuff, as we're getting pretty close to the end of this gameplay here. So they announced recently and confirmed that ranked cash out is returning. And like, yes, I was hoping that would happen, and I was kind of assuming that was the plan, but I don't know. I've seen devs do stupid shit before, and, you know, they added ranked TA and made it the only ranked mode in Season 3 in the first place, right? Like, they did that. You know, that fact didn't really exit my mind. Like, they did that. So I wasn't, you know, I was assuming ranked cash out would be coming back, but I wasn't, you know, completely getting my hopes up, because I just don't like being disappointed like that. It's nice to see that it's confirmed, and, you know, now that that's coming back, there are a few things that I would like to see adjusted, because they've been doing a lot of changes, especially recently, to the cash out rules, and some of them I like, some of them I'm honestly not a big fan of, and I think there's some room for adjustment. So to start off with, the kill money increase I think is a good change. That can stick. I think that's good. That one doesn't really bother me at all. The next thing, the team wipe penalty. They brought the team wipe penalty back, but it's been severely nerfed, and I think they need to find a compromise there. Like, if I recall correctly, I think it used to be 30%, and then they took it away, and now they added it back, and it's 10%. I think 10%'s a little too low. Personally, I think 20% would probably be... I do think the old 30% was too steep. I will say that. I do think that was too steep. I think 20% would probably be the happy medium. That being said, I would even settle for 15. Right now, the current 10% is just like it's a little too little. It doesn't play a big enough role in most games. It doesn't even matter when you wipe. Like, a lot of teams still play as if there was no wipe penalty, because again, like, most of the time 10% is so minute that it really doesn't feel like there is one, and I think that could be adjusted. Another thing is the changes that they made to the plug money, and how, like, the cash awarded for, like, holding the cash out, how the plug money is increased and how it bites into that cash total a little bit. I think they went a little overboard with that. The focus should still be on holding the cash out and completing the objective. But right now, and I was kind of saying this when the cash out changes came out, that this could be a thing. Right now, you could legitimately, you know, just earn like one of the first 2 cash outs, get enough money from that, and then if you get the double plug on the last 2 vaults, a lot of the time that'll be enough to lock you into first place, and then you can kind of just decide which team you want to be second. Like, a lot of the time, just that plug money will be enough to get you into first, and yeah, you just have full control of the game from just moving an objective. Like, I don't like it. I think there's a little too much focus on that, and I think that the ranked system, I think that ranked cash out returning next season will expose that, and I think that, you know, the way people play will evolve and be more focused on that. as things go. And I just don't see it being a very fun gameplay loop. Don't get me wrong, getting third-partied constantly and stuff like that, and not being rewarded for playing around the objective and like holding it for long periods of time, that is frustrating too. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't think what's currently in place is like the best solution for it. I think it creates another problem. I think it creates another problem that's also like not healthy in its own way. So yeah, I'd like to see that be adjusted and maybe reduced a little bit with the plug money. Oh, the last thing I wanted to mention, there's probably some other stuff too, but we're coming to the end of the gameplay here. I don't really like the most recent change that they added, which was, and I think they removed it for the final in particular in a recent update, but it's still the case in the lead up rounds, where if you're holding an objective, your time to coin and respawn is like drastically reduced. I don't like this change at all, and I think that I honestly think this one could just be reverted. Like, again, I get it, and I get wanting to, you know, add more incentive to be like the defending team and to control the objective. I get it, but I think they're just going a little overboard, and I don't like the gameplay loop that this creates either, because again, with those respawns being so much quicker, I think what this will do, and then with the plug money being so important too, is lead to a just double everything. You know, double everything, have control of it, and then just use your respawns and take advantage of that stuff to hold on to it. And if you don't hold on to it, you get an insane amount of plug money. And I just don't really like the way that's leading down, the path that's leading down for cash out. That being said, looking forward to Season 4. What are you guys looking forward to? What do you think is going to happen? What do you want to see? Hope you enjoyed the gameplay, Crim 6 20 bomb performance, and see you in the next one.